I'm Susan Matthews, and this is Stories from the Subverse. The story you will hear is narrated by Nayanika Mathur, Professor of Anthropology and South Asian Studies at the University of Oxford. The story is part of our Cataplisms series, which is about seeing the world through a feline lens and exploring how capitalism and cataclysm intersect and compound crises. I really owe a ton of gratitude to Professor Mathur, as her book titled Crooked Cats, Beastly Encounters in the Anthropocene, which was published in 2021, was one of the main inspirations for Cataplisms. In her book, Professor Mathur so eloquently places crooked cats at the center of how we are to comprehend a planet in crisis. The book provides startling insights into both the governance of non-human animals and their intimate entanglement with humans. Her central questions: what makes a big cat crooked? How do we humans come to recognize and intimately know a crooked cat? How does one live beside such beasts? And what might they have to do with the climate crisis and life in the Anthropocene? One of the provocations in her book that resonated deeply with me is when she speaks of the anthropos itself as a predator and quotes Naomi Klein, who speaks of climate change resulting from the depredations of capitalism. But rather than universal notions of capitalism, Mathur's book foregrounds the localized accounts of colonial, post-colonial, and corporate plunder of the Himalayas that proliferate in Uttarakhand. She makes a lovely tongue-in-cheek statement where she says that all encounters in the Anthropocene need not, after all, be beastly, if only humans were willing to change their crooked ways. Hope you enjoy the story where we get a small peek into a book with big ideas and even bigger cats.
There are, I was once told, two types of big cats or bag. Those that are seeda saada, which means straightforward or simple, and are as scared of humans as we are of them, if not more. Such bag, the vast majority of leopards, tigers, and lions, in fact, know how to live with humans. They're careful to avoid humans, even though they might be prowling near heavily populated areas. The problem lies with the other types of bag, those that have gone off the straight and narrow path to become teda or crooked. Popularly known as maneaters or Adam khor bag, these big cats actively prey upon humans. What makes a big cat go crooked? Why is it that only certain individuals of the species turn on humans as prey, while the vast majority do not? There is no agreement on this. Some say it is because the crooked cats in the Himalaya are native to the mountains, but have rather been sent up by plains people or by Maidanis. Or some others say that these are just not our local cats, they've come from elsewhere. Zoos, rescue centers. Some say that big cats are becoming crooked due to excessive hunting and poaching. As a species, they're seeking retributive justice for that which has been done to them by humans. There's also the belief that children of maneaters become, as they're often called, automatic maneaters due to the taste for human blood that they have acquired. The uncertainty over why big cats become maneaters creates a genuine governance problem. How do you prevent or guard against a phenomenon when you don't know why it is happening in the first place? Looming extinction, as well as the strong conservationist drive to preserve big cats, coupled with uncertainty on how to do so, makes this a very fraught process. So let me just take one prominent example. One of the most common and very problematic ways in which crooked cats are handled by the Indian state is by hunting them down. A common issue faced by hunters and bureaucrats is with the identification of the cat. In a landscape where several big cats can coexist, most of whom are not crooked, how is the truly guilty animal identified? An ethnographic study of the methods through which actors identify a specific individual maneater throws up a variety of ways, none of them foolproof, through which a big cat can be identified. This ranges from bureaucratic talk of IDing to scientific speak of camera trap images, fecal analyses, DNA tests, and to also what I think of as the territorial thesis. This is the thesis that big cats are territorial and are therefore typically sighted near the most recent hunt. There are also more instinctive modes of just knowing. So when people, especially hunters and tiger conservationists, talk about it, they will say things like, it was the look in her eye, it was the swing of the tail, through which I just knew whether she or he was guilty or innocent. Subsequent to the passage of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it makes it an offense to kill any tiger, lion, or leopard that has not been declared a maneater. A lot of energy is expended in getting a hunting permit and trying to follow the rules that have been laid out. It involves convincing the chief conservator of forests, stationed in the capital city of the state, that the beast in question is indeed dangerous to humans, and there is absolutely no other alternative left other than to kill or capture the problem animal. When, as tragically often happens, the wrong big cat is killed, a complicated game of retrospective erasure needs to be played, involving the disappearance of various matter ranging from the body of the big cat to photographs to the silencing of accomplices and members of the media in order to paper over the illegal death of an innocent. All the people involved in the hunt make it a point to declare the inherent impossibility of being able to incontrovertibly identify a big cat prior to killing it. In my book, Crooked Cats, Beastly Encounters in the Anthropocene, I discuss how the climate crisis requires a rethinking of human-animal relations and a move away from simple narratives of conflict to think more deeply about our entanglements with the non-human. The state and other organizations working towards wildlife conservation need to similarly take a hard look at laws, policies, and their everyday practices to see whether they are or are not equal to the task of governing a climate-changed world.
Thank you to Professor Nayanika Mathur for her amazing work and narration. Stories from the Subverse is the podcast of Dark and Light, a digital space that chronicles the times we live in and reimagines futures with a focus on science, nature, social justice, and culture. You can follow us on Instagram at Dark and Light Zine. This podcast has been sound designed for us by Tushar Das at Brown Monkey Studio. So long, and thanks for listening.